Hello, I'm Foxy, and in this series of tutorials, you will learn how to make a Steam chatbot. This is not a trading bot, and I'm working on creating one myself, and I will make tutorials on one as soon as I've completed it. So first, you should install Visual Studio. It really doesn't matter what version, but my preferred version is 2013. So what we're going to do is we're going to start it up, obviously. Then we're going to create a new project. You could make it a Windows Forms application, but a console application just makes things so much easier, in my opinion. So you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it Tutorial Bot. So when you start it up, you get a basic template. Now, the first order of business is to add the Steamkit2 API to this project. So go to Tools, Library Package Manager, and then hit Manage Packages for this solution. So you're going to want to hit All, and then after it's retrieved all of its information, you're going to search for Steamkit2 exactly. The capitalization doesn't matter, but there are no spaces. So you're going to install it, and then you're going to hit OK. Then you can just close out of this readme.txt. And so now that we have the package in, we have to include it. So what we're going to do is hit Using Steamkit2. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to set the title of the console just because. So type console.title equals, because we're setting a variable, to anything you want, really. I'm just going to name it a bot. And then what we're going to do is, it's always important to keep quitting instructions and just general instructions as the first part. So you're going to do console.write line, because we're writing a single line of information. Control+C exits out of a console program, so we're just going to put that, and quits the program. So before we go any further, I'm going to demonstrate the bot I had already made. And this is one you're going to be able to make, and this is the one we're working on making. So after it's logged in, you can talk to it. And just in general, there are tons of commands. So you type !help, just let me adjust my mic really quick. So you type !help, and then it gives you a list of commands you can do, such as mi-admin. You'll be able to create administrator permissions for your bot at the end of this tutorial, but that's going to come in a later lesson. Right now we're just going to work on logging in. And mine also has various responses to things, such as saying hey, and then it'll say hi, and then how are you? So my bot's feeling magical today. So we're just going to quit by sending it to shutdown. So now go back to your project if you, for whatever reason, minimized it. So now our first order of business is to retrieve a username and password from the bot user so that they can log in the bot. And don't forget to create a string variable and another string variable for the username and password. A neat thing about most programming languages is that you can declare more than one variable on the same line. So we're going to declare user and pass. Now, what we need to do is retrieve the information. So we're going to do console.writeLine, or no, just write, because it just makes things look neater. You're going to be typing the username in the same line as this. Because if you did WriteLine, you'd be typing like down here in the console, and that just doesn't look very nice. So then we need to retrieve the information from the user, and what we're going to do is we're going to set user equals console.readLine. Now what this does is the next input that the person gives into the console is going to set the username. Then we're going to do the same for our password. because you can't make it without a password. And again, you just set pass equals console.readline. So now both of our variables are equal to the user's information. So now we're going to create a method to make the logging in process cleaner. You could log in inside of the main method, but it just doesn't look very nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to create static void steam login. You can name it whatever you want, but this just makes a lot more sense when other people or you are trying to read your own code. We made it a void because it's not going to be returning anything. So what we're now going to do is call it. Now it doesn't have anything in it yet, so the program will just exit immediately after you've given it username and password. So now we need to create the Steam client, and we're going to add it to the top of the project to make the entire project be able to access it. So what we're going to name it is static Steam client, lowercase s Steam client. You can name whatever you want right here, but this just makes more sense again. So you could do basically the same thing here inside this line, but then it would only be accessible within this method. So now what we're going to do is set the Steam client into a new Steam client class. Oops. So after that is done, we also need to create a callback manager. What this does is, if you're familiar with events inside of forms, it's basically the same thing. But if you don't, what this does is whenever a certain thing occurs, our function that we've sent to handle that thing gets called so that we can manipulate that thing. So if I were to log in, a login callback would get fired, and then it would call my onLoggedIn function. But we'll get into that later. So to the top of your project, again, so it's accessible everywhere, create a static callback manager. This manages our callbacks, obviously, and then just name it manager or whatever you want. So then we're going to set our manager into a new callback manager. However, this is a little funky because you need to add the Steam client so it knows which client it's going to be handling. It basically handles any callbacks coming from our Steam client. Because if we didn't pass it the Steam client, it wouldn't do anything. It would probably either crash the program or give you an error on compilation when you're compiling. So we need to create another thing that's called the Steam user. This is so that we can do things relating to that a normal Steam user would be able to do, like log in, because you wouldn't be able to do this without logging in. So do static Steam user, and then just name it Steam user. So again, this is another funky little thing where you set Steam user, equal to Steam client dot get handler, and then you pass it the Steam user class. So basically we set Steam user to the handler of the Steam user class within Steam client, so it becomes the handler of all Steam user related actions and callbacks. Alright, so if you didn't understand that, what that means is, just let me readjust my mic. What that means is that this class, our thing, now handles anything coming from the Steam client as a Steam user callback. And that's fairly important for what we need to do. Now, we can't handle any callbacks without registering the callbacks with the manager and the function that we use to handle what happens. First, we're going to register the connection callback so that we can perform actions when we have connected to the Steam network. We also need to create the function that handles the callback. So type new callback, and then within that, put Steam client dot connected callback, and then put a left parentheses, and then we haven't created our function yet, but just put on connected. You can name it anything you want, but this makes more sense, and then pass it to the manager. So let's create our on connected function. So make it a static void on connected. So as you can see, this arrow will be going away. Or wait, what's wrong? Just give me a second here. Oh, that's my bad. It also passes it the callback. So what we need to do is set it to Steam client dot connected callback, and then just name it callback. So again, if you understand how events work inside of Windows Forms, this will be easy for you to understand. But my same explanation sticks here. So after we've done that, when this gets called back, it passes tons of things to this callback, such as the result of the callback. So once we've connected, we can check if we actually connected. So if callback, now this is important, result. This is the result of our connection. So if the connection was not successful, we need to inform the user that it wasn't successful. So just type console.writeLine and then unable to connect to Steam. Now this is a really neat thing of console.writeLine is you can put a French bracket or whatever those things are called, and then 0 and then another one, and then you can pass it a variable such as the result of the callback. So when this gets written, this gets replaced with the callback result. So since we didn't connect, we need to exit the future loop that we're going to create. So just set is running equals false. But first, we also need to create a static bool. Oops. So now that we have our unconnected callback, we're going to do more things with it, and we're going to add more to it. But right now, I need to explain our handling loop and the is running variable. So what happens is, once our Steam login is called, we set is running to true. And then we're going to create a while loop so that it knows to handle all the callbacks while this loop is running. So if you set is running to false, it exits this loop and quits the program or does whatever you want after this loop. So what we're going to type is manager dot run wait callbacks time span dot from seconds 1. So every second it's going to check for callbacks and call the callback handler such as onConnected. And then we're going to put console.read key afterwards so that we know our program's done, and then we can just press enter or really any key to tell it to exit the program. So before the is running, we need to tell our program to connect to the Steam network. So we're going to type steamclient.connect. Now what this will do is it'll attempt to connect to the Steam network, and then once it is successfully connected, it'll fire this callback and do whatever we want inside of here. So now that that's done, we're going to inside of this if loop, this if statement, is we're also going to go to return, because we don't want it to continue doing its thing because our connection was unsuccessful. So this would exit out of here and not do anything after this if statement if the result was not okay. So afterwards, we're going to inform the user that we've successfully connected to Steam. So just write line, again, because we're just writing a singular line, and then type connected to Steam or something like that. Now what I like to do is I like to put a line break. This is basically the enter key, but with strings. And you'll be able to see that inside the console after we run this program. And we're going to put logging in to inform the user that we're attempting to log in. And then another line break. Now, if you want to be more specific, we can put, again, that fancy little thing, 0. And then we could tell it that we're attempting to log in the user. Oh, my bad. I forgot a left parentheses. Alright. So after we've done that, we could pass our login credentials to the server with Steam user dot logon. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a new Steam user logon details. Now this tells the program to pass our logon details to the Steam user.logon. And this is important because you won't be able to log in without them. So put a left French bracket, and I like to put it right here, but a lot of people like to keep it up here. So just do whatever fits your style. So then we're going to set the logon credentials username to our user, and then the same thing with the password, but you need to put a comma afterwards because we're not done passing arguments. Password equals pass. And then you need to put another comma. I don't know exactly why, but that's how it works. And then put a semicolon to let them know that you're done passing your credentials. So now we're going to create a logon callback to tell the bot what to do after the logon has been attempted. So let's do that up here because we need to register a new callback. So new callback, Steam user, Steam user dot logged on callback. And then you pass it your logged on function so that it can handle the callback. Now I apologize if this doesn't make any sense. This is kind of my first go at making tutorials. So now we need to create our handling function, and we can just collapse this because we are not working with it anymore. So create a new static void on logged on, and then again we need to pass it the callback. So Steam user dot logged on callback, and then just name it callback. So just let me readjust my mic really quick. So on logged on, we need to check if our logon request was denied. So what we're going to do is type if callback again dot result equals to eResult dot account logon denied. Now what this will tell us is obviously if our attempt to log in was denied. Now what this means is that our account is SteamGuard protected. that's in another tutorial, and you'll still be able to log into SteamGuard protected accounts after the next tutorial. But right now we're just going to attempt to log into a account that is not SteamGuard protected. So what we're going to do is inform them that we could not connect because it's SteamGuard protected. Just put whatever you want, just make sure that they know that it's because it's SteamGuard protected. And then return to exit, because we don't want to continue with our logon stuff if we can't log on in the first place. So now we need to check if for any other reason our request was denied. So callback.result is not equal to eResult.OK. So inside of here, you're going to inform them that our logon was not successful. I know this is a tad bit repetitive, but there it is. It has to be done. So put unable to log into Steam, and then again, that awesome little thing that we all love, because it makes our lives so much easier. Then we're going to pass it the callback result to let them know why, because we don't know why ahead of time. And then set is running to false, and then return, so that we don't continue with our attempts to log in. Now, something I forgot to do was add this to here. Because if the account is SteamGuard protected, there's no reason in continuing. So then we need to inform them that because we've already handled any issues if our logon request was denied, we type console.writeLine, and then again, that fancy replacement, here just a second, let me readjust my mic. That fancy replacement, those fancy replacement brackets, geez, and then put successfully logged in. Now you don't need to put this here, you can just put successfully logged in if you want, but I like to be more specific, and then just pass it the user. So that's basically the end of our tutorial. We're going to put console.readKey so that they have to press enter or something to quit the program. And in order to quit the program after this, we're going to put environment.exit. You don't have to pass anything, but it's a good practice to pass it 0 to let them know that to let Windows know that there weren't any issues. So just give me a second to go over my notes and see if there was anything I missed. No, it doesn't appear I've missed anything, so let's attempt to log in to a SteamGuard protected account. So as you can see, we're going to be typing on the same line, which would not happen if it were right line. We'd be writing right here instead of right here. So put the bot's actual username, which will appear around here whenever you log in on Steam. It's the username you selected, but it doesn't appear to your friends. That was my bad. We probably shouldn't have gotten rid of that. So let's try that again. Oh. Well, that's never happened to me before. Oh. What we need to do is, I guess we don't have to, but we could put this before steamclient.connect. And then after that, we can also inform them we're attempting to connect. Because it's always good to inform people of what you're doing. Oh, that's my bad. If our account request wasn't denied, but we still had an issue, it means that it's SteamGuard protected. So make sure it's an exclamation point equals, and then we can attempt to log in now. So there you have it. This account is SteamGuard protected. Next tutorial, we're going to go over how to overcome this obstacle and then everything's going to be great because you can log into a SteamGuard protected account. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry for the issues, but that's life for you, and I need to pay more attention to my notes. So like, comment, subscribe, I really don't care, but if this tutorial helped you, I'm glad, and just leave it down in the comments below because I love to hear that my work's helping people.